Welcome, 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 everyone. Welcome to another edition of Remixing Politics and Culture with me, your host, Pam. Obviously, there is a lot going on, and most of it is absolute nonsense, foolishness. None that like we've ever seen before in the course of this great American experiment. Let's say that. We, of course, will have to talk about the former felon in chief. But we're also going to talk about, of course, saving this democracy, of which the former felon in chief is the main culprit of helping us potentially lose it. We have two very special guests tonight. Um, and we're excited about them being here because we're going to, they're both firebrands and have a lot to say. All right. So, first up, we have Janice Robinson. Here she is. Janice worked in the field of occupational therapy for almost 28 years until Janice decided in 2021 to reconstruct her work life to focus full time on the efforts to help save our democracy. She started her own political campaign consulting firm, JDR Consulting, in the fall of 2021. Janice became the North Carolina program director for Red, Wine, and Blue, an Ohio based women led grassroots organization focusing on amplifying the voices of suburban women. Welcome back to the show, Janice.
Hi, Pam. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. And next up, we have Representative Dr. Amber Baker. She is a longtime educator, having spent more than a decade as a principal at Park School in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Dr. Baker is a graduate of the HBCU Winston-Salem State University, the Ohio State University, and has received advanced training at the Harvard Institute for Academic Achievement, the Ruby Payne Framework for Understanding Poverty, and many other institutions. Dr. Baker is the state representative of North Carolina's 72nd District, Forsyth County. Welcome back to the show, Dr. Baker.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm hearing some feedback. I don't know what that is. I don't know. Anyways, so ladies, let's just get it. Let's knock it out the ballpark. We know what happened last week. Let's talk first about the big orange elephant in the room.
You mean the 34-inch? The 34-inch elephant in the room. The 34-inch elephant.
Our former fellow chief, Trump. Janice, give us your thoughts on the 34 guilty counts handed down last week.
Well, I tell you, I was surprised that he was found guilty at all because we know the Republicans have been stacking the deck for a while in terms of our judiciary. And then there are a lot of people on here who are his followers. However, I was surprised, but happily surprised. It's important that he, as in all of us in this country, need to understand that there's no one above the law, and he needed to see that. And so I'm excited that 12 jurors of his peers basically handed him that verdict and gave him that message that he is not above the law.
That's right. That's right. Dr. Baker, your thoughts on the 34 felony counts?
Well, I'm going to take a little bit of a different angle. I know that we as Black people know that we never get a chance to be mediocre. And so hats off to the the assistant district attorney and the district attorney and his team that put together a solid case, as has been the case with all of the state's attorneys and district attorneys that are trying him. All are people of color, and so they didn't leave anything to chance. And so it could have gone the other way, but the way that they laid it out in the methodical way that they did it, and made sure every I was crossed, every I was dotted, every T was crossed. I think it comes from us understanding as Black people that we have to make sure that we get up extra early, go a little bit further, and do a little bit more just to be considered. And I think that's what we saw play out for the last almost month on TV. And you had the teams not being out front, trying to talk about the issues and what was happening. They just kept their head down and kept chipping away at the charges. And again, just did an amazing job of ensuring that anybody watching it, sure, they can say that it was rigged. We know it wasn't. They can say that it was the Democrats railroading them. We know it wasn't. They can choose to continue to deny the facts because we know facts don't matter to the other side. But in reality, everyday folks are paying attention. And I think in the end, it's going to be a very surprising turn of events. So as someone who wanted to be a lawyer, so I thought I just thought it was a master's class on how you successfully lay out a case and ensure that you can get a solid win.
Yes, yes. So the challenge this election cycle are really intense. According to the polls, neither Trump or Biden are popular at all. And even with the 34 guilty felony counts, Trump managed to come $52.8 million after those counts were passed. However, isn't that going to pay his legal bills, or is he going to stiff those lawyers too? So the money he raised doesn't, I mean, they think that they're giving it to him to help his campaign or election, but it's really, I mean, I understood that they were paying a lot of his legal bills with all the money that was being raised. Janice, what do you think about that?
Well, I guess people who go into business with Trump need to just look at history. And historically, he has not been a good a person who paid his bills. And so anybody who wants to go into business with him should go into it understanding that, and they go into it at their own risk. And so sometimes I wonder if some of these attorneys are basically knowing they may never see a dollar of the money, or just doing it just for their own to get more attention for their own law practices. And then maybe they may be true believers and followers of his spin. And so, but hasn't been shown that he's really reliable when it comes to paying people that he owes. And right. So it'll be interesting to see if they see a dollar of that money.
Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Baker, the ABC Ipsos poll says that only 50% of Americans, I was really surprised by this, only 50% of Americans think that the jury verdict was correct. Many Republicans don't think he should run with these felonies. What have you been hearing among some of your colleagues, being that you're in one of the battleground states and in the state legislature? Have you heard anything, any rumblings?
No rumblings, but last Sunday this time, I was at the Coca-Cola 600 in Charlotte, and he was there. And the way in which the representatives who are Republicans were pandering to be in the room with him and to get the photo ops, and it just was amazing to me. So I think that it's I say to people that it's much larger than the man himself, and that what he stands for is a rollback on the democracy that we know, and that those that will continue to follow him regardless of what he does It's because they want to return to a place and time where power was limited to just a few. And
Mhm.
so it doesn't matter what he does. To a small majority, um, I will not offend Republicans who are now looking through a clearer lens, and they do not want a president that represents them that
Mhm.
has been convicted of 34 felonies. People are listening. They don't want a man who is telling you, he has shown you that what he says he is going to do, that's going to um, go after his opponents, that who wants to be a dictator, who wants to continue to roll back the rights of women, to roll back all of our um, regulatory issues that have made us a safer America. He's told us we're going to do that. And so anybody that thinks that anything that he has said he's not going to do, I don't know where you've been since
Mhm.
2016. The man stood on national TV in the middle of the street and said, I can kill somebody in the
Mhm.
middle of Broadway
Yes, he
and
did.
get away with it because he knew who was backing him. He knew who was supporting him. And so, much greater than just the voters who are giving him this money, they think to help their campaign. He has people on Wall Street. They don't care about what he stands for. They just they're concerned about continuing to pad their pockets. You have big businesses that are looking forward to them having deregulation so that they can continue to earn more profits at the expense of our environment and our country and our land. So I am hopeful that the Republicans have overplayed their hand and that reasonable everyday people are going to say, this is not what we want, not for this America.
Okay. Right. Do one of you have on a recording device or something? Because I keep hearing this feedback. I wonder what that
I
is.
know.
That is
I
the
know. I don't. Every now and then I'll hear something, but I'm not hearing it when you talk. Oh,
uh-huh.
every now and then I'll hear it, but
Yeah, it's really strange. At any rate, I had this one video for you all called it was from Political Girl on TikTok, and it did not come through. So I guess the file was rather big and it just didn't come through. So I do have another quick snippet of a video that I want to show the audience and you just to further emphasize our point before we get into Janice's rallying tool. Hold on one second. I'm going to share the screen. That's the wrong one. Here it is.
Felon is removed off of professional certifications like dentists, massage therapists, realtors, mortgage loan officers. Those are professional certifications. Anything like that, felon needs to be removed off of it because the highest position in the land should be the most sacred and should be the example for everybody in this country. And if this is not a political post, this is an equal opportunity post, and this is a post that is about not holding down the everyday average American citizen.
All right. All right. So there you have it. The everyday American citizen has to be held down to the same standard. So, you know what I was just thinking, Dr. Baker, you being an educator for years, can you imagine how do we even begin to explain this to our children? I mean, even at this point, that he's able to run for president.
So let me say this. When he first decided to run, I was still in the school system. I was in the elementary school, and I just so happened to walk into a classroom of kindergartners or first graders. I'm sorry, first graders, who was talking about him not being a nice man and that he should not be the president because he's mean. These are 6-year-olds. So I think that our young people understand decency and decorum. They understand fairness. They understand justice in an elementary kind of way. And so they know that this is not right. It's not right for him, as they would say in children's terms, to be such a bad man and a mean man, right? And do things to people and still be able to be president. And then I have a 17-year-old grandson, soon to be 17-year-old. And young people, contrary to the message that he's trying to put out there, that Black men in particular support him because they know what it's like to be demonized, and they know what it's like to suffer at the hands of an unjust justice system. That's not the case. They call him a grifter. They get it. They get that only a rich white man in America could do what he's done and still be allowed to run for president. So oftentimes I think we give our children, we don't give them enough credit because they also live in this world. They may not always have the advanced vocabulary to discuss these issues, but even at the most elementary level, they get it.
Can I speak to that? Dr. Baker, thank you so much for just reminding us of the innocence of children, of young people. As those of us, as we get older, we get a little bit more cynical, and we need to get a little bit more sophisticated in how we try and spin things and rationalize and so forth. But I totally agree with you that, young people, they understand that's right, and then there's wrong. And they can see the unfairness of things. The one thing that I get concerned about is our young people not having, maybe not getting the full messages of what's going on when it comes down to political policies and so forth. When it comes to just a comparison of the two administrations, I mean, it's clear that and whether young people I don't think they really, I don't know what, obviously they're not getting their information from like mainstream media and so forth, but I've been very disappointed with the mainstream media in that, and matter of fact, to the point that I counseled CNN and MSNBC 2 years ago when they started giving all this attention to Trump again. I don't watch any of that stuff. And for another reason is because they were not amplifying the important information that people needed to know. Like, people needed to know what the Biden-Harris administration has done, is accomplishing. They need to know what's going on, and particularly in the Black community, there are issues we care about in the Black community that gets no airtime. Right. I start my day with Roland Martin.
Yeah,
I don't know what's going on in the Black community. Yeah. And so, and a lot of young people, especially young Black people, I think they're not getting the information. So it is on us who are activists in the community. It's on us to make sure that we educate the electoral population about the issues and how they can become more politically educated. We call it in Red, Wine, and Blue, politically savvy, so that they are educated voters and that they are motivated to vote. And so, but I totally agree with you about they see just the right and wrong much more simplistically than those of us who've gotten a little jaded over the years.
It's all interrelated, right? When it's like, is that me? I don't have anything open, but I hear it when I speak. The suppression of history, the destroying of books, the rollback of voters' rights, all of that is interrelated, right? It is designed. The attack on DEI, all of that is related to ensuring that people are uneducated about the interrelativity of what we're dealing with today. And so it is important for us who know better. We have got to start to come outside of the four walls of our homes and of our civic organizations, of our churches. And we are and I probably will get a lot of feedback on this. but we are now on the same trajectory of how we deal with our community as white folks deal with their community. We know that as Black folks, we have traditionally been communal.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're very individualistic, and we do not give the same time and attention that many of us grew up with. And so we've got to go where they are. We've got to go into communities that we moved away from. And you have the right to live. I tell people I live in a hot zone in Winston. I live there by choice. But those that have chose to move to the suburbs, which is their right, you cannot disengage from the community, because what made our community stronger is those of us who had the knowledge, the wisdom, and the education was in the same communities with the others who were not put in those situations. And so we made sure that everybody had the right knowledge and tools and understanding of what to do. And we don't have that. You know, we've lost that.
We have lost a lot. We have lost a lot. I had Reverend Dr. Jonathan Augustine. He goes by J. Augustine. He happens to also be my pastor, but he's written some powerful books. And one in particular that he spoke about, because he was talking about Christian nationalism and how people are getting confused over everybody that's saying Lord, Lord, and they're not speaking of the Lord or whatever. And he wrote this book about when prophets preach. When prophets preach, and he goes into detail. He talks about Christian nationalism, but he also talks about the underlying of the theme says leadership and the politics of the pulpit. He talks about how Martin Luther King and all of the great leaders of our past within the churches and what have you, you know, yeah, you learned about Jesus and all that too, but you had to learn how we were going to survive and whatnot as well. And it's that communal thing that you're talking about, Dr. Baker, that is important, that he addresses it in a very structural way in talking about our spirituality and what have you. It's a powerful book. It's a pretty cool read too. So Pastor Jay, if you hear me, I'm plugging your book here. So listen, Janice, tell us about your work with Red, Wine, and Blue and about this new rally tool that you have to offer.
Yeah, sure. So Red, Wine, and Blue, for those who may not be familiar with Red, Wine, and Blue. So we are a women-led, nonprofit, nonpartisan organization and focused on mobilizing the diversity of suburban women all over the country. But we have staff in 5 of the battleground states, North Carolina, Virginia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio. And so what we do, we don't set up chapters, but what we do, our focus is to amplify the voices of these women and empower them to amplify their voices around the issues that are important to them in their local community. Okay. Because our theory of change is that when women, and we target women who are not on the choir, women who are not living, eating, breathing this stuff every day, like the 3 of us are. Many of the folks that we travel in tribes with, but women who are not engaged, we're trying to expand this electorate. So for whatever reason, these women who have been reluctant to get engaged in the political arena, those are the women that we're targeting, and specifically. So we want them to learn how to use their power, experience that power. And so our theory of change is that if women feel and experience that power locally around local issues, and then they will then vote locally and vote up the ballot. Yeah. I tell women all the time that elected officials, they don't give a crap what Red, Wine, and Blue think, especially locally elected officials, but they care about what you think. And so we want to empower them. We are totally focused on empowering them, educating them, empowering them politically, so they are politically savvy women and that they will train and educate the people in their network, their family, friends, acquaintances.
Right.
And so we have a tool, and we call it Rally. It's a web-based platform that they can use to go online, to set up a profile, enter the contacts of people that they are going to track and educate and so forth, because we put actions in there, education actions in there, things that they can share with their contacts, so that they too are educating their contacts about some of these issues. So we about every other week we're putting in a new action in there around an issue right now, because we're focused on education right now. So we're talking about the important issues in North Carolina, like for instance around education, around abortion rights.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to be putting on next month. We're going to be doing a judicial salon. I'd love to talk about that in a minute. But we're going to be putting up some stuff around the judiciary. And so this spring and summer, we're putting up a lot of education, political information education. So these women are more politically savvy, but even more importantly, the people that are in their network become more politically savvy too, because they are learning from them. And people will trust them instead of some stranger who may be knocking at their door, calling them.
Right. And that's the whole purpose of starting this show, because I feel like if there's tons of podcasts, there's tons of, and you telling me you don't even listen to MSNBC or CNN is kind of mind blowing to me right now, especially MSNBC, because I'm an MSNBC junkie. But I
used to be.
I think that it makes it, my idea was it makes it more personable, that if you have more grassroots, regular folks mixed in with people who were of higher influence and whatnot, it makes it more relatable and people can see themselves. It makes it more that they would more likely vote. They would more likely listen. That was my thought.
Yeah.
You want me to display the graphic for you?
Yeah.
So you can walk us through it?
Sure. That'll be great. Yeah. So yeah, while you're pulling that up, people have become, a lot of people have become somewhat, kind of they're tired of people showing up at their doorstep 30 days before the election and knocking on their door, and they say, we don't hear from you until it's time to vote. But they trust the people they know.
Right. So here's the graphic. I'm assuming you can see it.
Yes, I can. Yes.
Your squad. I like that terminology.
Yeah, whatever your squad is. So here, this is on our website. And so how people would get on the tool. And so if you scroll down, you'll see the images of the different states, because we have the tool available, and you can stop right there, Pam. So we have this tool available in the battleground states that we are staffed in. And you can see there's North Carolina there. So what folks would do is click on the graphic of the state that you want to, kind of go into. And so in this case, we'll do North Carolina. And so once you click on it, it's going to give you an opportunity to set up a profile.
Okay.
And so your screen didn't change. So I don't know if
oh, it didn't.
I think you clicked on it, but it's still showing the website.
Oh, really? Because it changed on my end. It changed.
Yeah, that's okay. And that's what happens when you share screens. Sometimes you have to stop sharing and go back to the other screen.
Okay.
So you might have to stop sharing and then click back on the one that you see.
Well, I don't want to set it up.
Okay.
So yeah, first state, and isn't it funny? I'm from Michigan and I live now in North Carolina.
Right. So when people click on it, then what will happen? It'll give you an opportunity to set up your profile. It'll tell you to it'll send you it'll have you put in an email address, and it'll send you a magic link to that email address so that you can come back into the platform, because it's very, very secure.
Okay.
And so once you go into you go to your email, click on that magic link, and it'll take you back onto Rally, and it'll have you to search for yourself. Now, the cool thing about this is that the tool is connected to the voter file. And so when you search for yourself, it'll pull up your name and based on the voter file, and you want to put in your name as it is written on your voter registration card. And even as you are, when you start to enter contacts, you want to do the same thing. So once you do that, you'll find yourself, and then you can start. It'll guide you to start entering contacts. Now, the thing that I tell people, the tool is so intuitive, and what that means is that it basically walks you step by step by step. So what's important is just to slow down. And read the screen. And I'm talking about you right now. I'm talking about when people are in the platform and going through it. But just go slow and read the screen, and it'll guide you to questions and answers for you to do. For some of us who are maybe a little bit more tech savvy, we go pretty quick and so forth. We may miss something, but the tool, it just walks you through step by step. Another thing, so when you start entering contacts, and let me say this, red, wine, and blue, we are not going to reach out to your contacts. We're not, because we do what's called relational organizing, which means basically friend to friend organizing. We train people, we train the women in our network how to reach out to their friends and their contacts, people that they know that they want to make sure get to the poll. So we are not going to reach out to your contacts.
Right.
Also, too, we are not going to harness the names and email and the names that you put in there. We're not. And so people don't have to worry about, oh, they're just collecting my people's names. Like, nope, we're not interested in that. What we're interested in is that when you go on the platform, that you start working on your families, friends, acquaintances, your hairdresser, your barber, whoever, your mail person, anybody that you want to make sure get to the polls, and that you put them up in there. Once again, they'll be connected to the voter file. Now, if you do not find them in the voter file, you may want to reach out to them and just say, you know what, are you registered to vote? And that's one of the first key things is people got to get registered to vote.
Okay, so let me ask you this, Janice. So in other words, this file, since we're clicking on by state, by 5 battleground states that you guys see listed here, all 3 of us are in the state of North Carolina. So what you're telling me is essentially this, when I click onto this and make my account, people who are registered voters in the state of North Carolina are already in the file, and we're cross-referencing it, so to speak.
Yeah, so they're not in the rally file. What it does, the rally platform, where the rally tool is connected to the voter file.
Right. That's
so if I put a person's name in and they are a registered voter.
Yes.
And I put their name, and you're gonna have to put their name in the way that they are listed on their voter registration card. So if somebody's name is Jacqueline, she's probably going to be Jacqueline on her voter registration card as opposed to Jackie.
Right.
So when I put that in, a list of names are going to come up, and it's gonna tell you their age and so forth, and you can kind of decide, okay, oh, this is her, and so she is connected to the voter file. And that's how when you put her in, the tool is connected to the voter file. So they're not automatically in rally. No.
Okay.
And the reason why that is important, but that they're connected to the voter file, is because, of course, what we want people to do is to vote early. Vote early. But after early voting is done, so let's say we, here in North Carolina, we usually in Charlotte, and we have about 17 days of early voting. If my friend tells me that she voted on Tuesday, and roundabout, it's going to take the Board of Election, because this is tied to the Board of Election. So it's going to take the Board of Election. Once the Board of Election updates those files, which usually takes about a day or two, I can see if my friend has voted.
Okay.
And if she hasn't, then I can kind of give her a little nudge. Okay, hey, my sister, are you going to vote early? And if early voting is over and I still do not see that she has voted, then I'm going to do everything I can to make sure she gets to that poll on election day.
Right.
So that's the beauty of being connected to the voter file.
I see. I think this is a wonderful, wonderful tool. Also, when you go to your website, you can see here where they give you here, learn how to rally your squad in just 10
Mhm.
minutes. You've got the little
Mhm.
YouTube video.
Right.
Got instructions here. Need help deciding who to reach out to about elections? Download our map your contacts guide.
Yeah, because sometimes people have to think, well, who would I want to put in as my contacts? And so that's just a little guide, kind of to kind of get you thinking. But
Right.
also too, in the tool itself too is a little brainstorming feature where it can kind of help you brainstorm. Who are some people I can think about that I want to put in as my contacts? We ask people to put in 10 to 12, but we have women who have like 30, 25, 30 in there.
Right.
Your people. Now, here's the other thing I want to be clear about.
Uh-huh.
So this is a tracking tool, and once you have like I say, we have little tasks in there
Mhm.
that you will be asked to do for
Mhm.
each of your friends. And once you have done it, now when you do the task, it may be and a lot of it is educating your friend. So it's going to be, you're going to do that through either, well, in the way that you talk to your friend. So
Mhm.
let's say my friend Susie, she and I are on the phone all the time. So it may be where I call her up and I share with her the information in this particular task.
Mhm.
Information, it's like we have stuff in there about Leandro. We have stuff in there about the abortion bill,
Yeah.
about IVF, which is going on right now,
Yes.
about the upcoming superintendent's race.
Oh
So
God.
once I do one of those tasks, and here's a very important piece that I want people to understand. Once you do the task, there's a little box that says, I did it. It's very important that you click, I did it.
Is that in this area here that I'm circling?
So
Oh,
no, this will be in the Rally tool.
it says map your contacts. That's what that's saying. That is.
Yeah, this will be inside the tool.
Okay, inside the tool. Okay.
Inside the tool, yeah. Once you're on the platform,
Okay.
and like I said, it's very intuitive. It just follow along and just do what it says, and you'll find it's so easy. We call it canvassing from our couch. I mean, you can canvas from your couch. So,
Really, it really sounds good for people like me that you're just really super busy. And I'm and can and let's talk about this part here, Janice. At the end, it says you can also download your guide to host rally your squad get-togethers.
yeah, we love having women get together and get their friends together because we are trying to get out in the community as much as possible to do little rally groups, rally trainings, small group trainings, big group trainings. I'm going to be doing one for a Juneteenth a group on the 18th, coming up in a week or two, in a week, that 2 Saturdays from now. And I'm going to be talking about rally because we want to come. So we say rally your sport parties. How many of us haven't had a Tupperware party in the past, or a Mary Kay party, or one of those cookware parties? Well, we call them being on the boat parties or rally your squad parties.
Okay.
And so it's getting, if you want to host an event and host some women in your home or wherever, we will come and do a little training and on how to have that and little small training. And we make it fun. That's why we call it red, wine, and blue. So we try and make our do events that are fun, and unintimidating for women.
Okay, and you're on all
Yeah, we everywhere.
all of them. Red,
Yeah.
wine, and blue, guys. Hint for wine.
Yeah. And can I do one quick plug?
Yes.
One quick one. So again, because we want to educate and help people to become more politically savvy. That's what's going to be most important for people to get to the polls and get other people to the polls. One of the things that we are doing on June 17th, we're going to host a North Carolina judicial, we call it a salon, which is a virtual event about the judicial races. Our goal is to make judicial races a household name. This thing of the judges, the voting for the judges is an afterthought. We're going to set the tone to make sure that does not that the judges, the judicial races up and down the judicial, all the divisions.
Yes.
Because right now, we have a North Carolina Supreme Court seat we need to hold on to.
Yes.
We got the appellate court, and then we're gonna try. We got to get back control of the our North Carolina Supreme Court. That's why we're in the mess that we're in.
Yes.
So June 17th, everybody mark your calendar. Go to our website to the events, and you'll see where Justice Anita Earl is going to be on with us, along with all the appellate court candidates, and also hopefully, well, we're going to be talking about Allison Riggs' race too. And so,
Alicia Baker Rogers says, "I wish Texas was included in the tool."
oh, I know. Now, so here's the thing. So for the other states, we have 500,000 women all across the nation that's connected with Red, Wine, and Blue. We're up to over 21,000 in North Carolina. But for those states that are not where we have staff, we have a program called Trouble Nation. And so this is where women in other states, especially because we try and get women to come together in their local community and start working together and building power together. So they can go to our Trouble Nation site on our website. And if you have a little small group of women, or you a group of, or however large, and you all are working together, you want to start kind of connecting more with us at Red, Wine, and Blue, go on there and you can set up, list your group on our platform. And we have all kinds of trainings and so forth to help you and your group to be more effective and powerful around the issues and stuff in your community. And so we have about over 100. I'm sorry.
They will go to redwineandblue.com to do that.
Yeah, if you go to redwine.blue.
Okay, wait a minute. I put the word "and" in there. So redwine.blue.
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 Yep, that's our website. Yeah.
There's no com in there.
Nope.
Get out.
Yeah. So that site that you just pulled up, that was from redwine.blue.
Okay, guys, I just put it in the chat. Redwine.blue. Go to that, Alicia, and so that you can get involved. And you know what? That'd be great for the sorority to your chapter to get involved.
I'm gonna tell you, I've been trying to get with the Divine sororities and the links. If any of the people from the links, the sororities, please invite me and my team to come talk to you all. I'm trying to get in there.
I just got voted in to be the social justice chair on my sorority, and we just had a retreat yesterday.
Oh,
and I was so absolutely.
Please let me come. Let me or any of my organizers come. We will come. We want to come and talk to the sororities, the links, what's the other one, the big group, and talk about.
All of the women, child. The links, the deltas, the zetas. I'm a zeta. And Sigma Gamma Rose, yes, absolutely.
Invite us. We will come. We want to get on your agenda, so please invite us.
Okay. Yeah, we have to listen. We have been saying that this election coming up is so consequential. We said that about other elections, but guys, if you don't see the writing on the wall, and it's like smack up in your face. We are like, and all of the things, the rollbacks. One discussion that I've been meaning to have with my mother, who is 88 years old, and she's an activist in Detroit, is how does she feel about seeing these things roll back? Because she was a good 27 or 28 years old when the Civil Rights Act passed. So she's old enough and savvy enough, you know what I mean? To be excited about this great new opportunity with civil rights. And now here she is, having worked so hard to get Obama elected and all of that stuff, and to see this, I can't imagine that old and seeing something like that. That would just.
But that's part of the reason why we're here, because after we got President Obama elected, then we took our hands off the political process, and we didn't stay engaged, and we didn't stay as active in the political process as we had been to elect President Obama. And, I will also add this to add on to what Janice was just talking about building relationships, right? And as I said earlier, we have to get back out in the community. But what I'm also encouraging people to do is to reach out to your local headquarters and work with them to get a list of voters that have not been active in the last 2 election cycles. And let's start adopting 3 to 5 people, right? Or more if you can. And we are going to do 3 or 4 touch points. So, a postcard, maybe a phone call, maybe we miss you. Is there anything that you need to know about voting? Do you understand who's on the ballot? Reconnecting, because I believe that many of the voters that have gone dormant have felt they've not felt connected. And so, along with what Janice just pointed out, maybe somebody doesn't want to be a part of something as awesome as Red, Wine, and Blue, which I don't know why, but
I don't know why either. I'm very impressed with that too.
But it seems like to me that's based on people that you're already in relationships with at the fundamental level. What I'm saying is that we've got to also engage people that are not a part of a circle, right? And so making sure that we try to reach out to them, re-engage them, reconnect them, and once we get them registered, what do we do beyond that? And I had a conversation with one of my friends that's an alpha, and and I kind of put him on, not on blast, but he's like, well, we always register voters at the Martin Luther King breakfast, and what do you do beyond that?
That's the thing. You can't just register and not educate them on how to vote up and down the whole ballot, not just the names that. Oh, I think I remember that name or whatever. We have to do that education piece too.
Well, part of educating the people is finding out what's important to them, right? So I do this series called Cuts and Cuties, Conversations in the Community, and it happens in barbershops and hair salons. And I'm not asking for the vote. I'm not asking I want to know, what is it that's important to you? And inevitably somebody is going to say, well, I don't vote because nothing's going to change.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for saying that. So what is your nothing? Because things are changing around you all the time. And so when and usually they are looking for change in a specific area or arena, whether it's around education, whether it's around justice, juvenile justice, whether it's around social reform, when they can name their thing, right? If it's around education, do you know who ran for school board? What are their issues? You see what I'm saying? So when you connect their nothingness to at least a specific group of people who can make changes to that, I've seen so many people's light bulbs go off because they just look at the political process in general. And they become overwhelmed with that, and then they shut down because it's not meeting their needs. So I'm saying we can't wait till September or October or even August. Like, we've got to keep getting out there. And I don't know what a coordinated campaign is. I'm still relatively new to this process, but what I envision with a coordinated campaign is that we leverage our resources together. So if the Biden-Harris has an office in Winston, and they do, then work with the other candidates, sharing your time and talent and treasure, because those candidates that are local are going to be the ones that people relate to. And so instead of us all recruiting our own individual volunteers, how about we create a database that people can go in and sign up to Canvas? But when we go to Canvas, we're not just taking one candidate's information, we're taking everybody's information. And so that way we're leveraging resources, we're leveraging manpower. And now I have 70,000 people that I have to touch. I have 36 precincts that I have to cover. Well, how about we create that database, and instead of me trying to recruit volunteers to cover all 36 of those precincts, when we're there, whoever is there, we're there on behalf of of the Democratic Party. I know red, wine, and blue is non-political. So whatever your political
No problem. Mhm.
party is. And
Mhm.
that's what we've got to start doing. We can't use a term like coordinated campaign and it means what, right? So that's the other piece that we've got to start thinking more like in teamwork. We've successfully recruited 179 candidates to run for 180 seats. Well, some of those candidates are not going to be as successful as raising money as other candidates. So, what are we doing to support? What are we doing to help those that stand up and answered the call to let's challenge as many of these seats as we possibly can? Let's not leave any seats on the table.
Let
And
me ask you this. Let me ask you this. That Cawthorn, is it Cawthorn?
we don't name her. We don't say her name.
I know.
Beetlejuice.
Dr. Baker, that Beetlejuice name, like,
Beetlejuice. We don't say. You say her name 3 times and something bad happens.
okay.
I'm in Charlotte, Dr. Baker. I live next door to her.
That's
Well,
right.
Then you don't
I
you
know.
mention her name?
I like that Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice. You say her name 3 times. and
Okay, the
something
lady who stole our vote,
Yes.
that messed up our state legislature, giving
Yes.
the Republicans the majority last
Yes.
April.
Yes.
Is she up for election this time
She
around?
Yes, she is.
And they did try to make her the district that she's running in a little more Republican leaning. But Janice can speak to this more specifically. But the candidate that they have running against her is a strong candidate and is running a well organized campaign and is doing the daggone thing. And I will say this is just my take on watching people, particularly those up there in Raleigh. The Republican women were not happy with that. And you go back and look at the news conference and you look at, they had on Democratic blue, first of all, and you look at their body language. See, those women weren't given a seat. They had to work and earn that seat.
Okay.
They have to pick and choose when and where they enter because they know they are a part of a party that does not respect women. And so they didn't like it.
Okay.
They didn't like it.
I didn't know.
And I think
subtle, but I didn't know.
Yeah. Go back and look at her press conference when she was announcing that we were mean to her.
So mad and so in shock. I remember just being like, what happened?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
look at how tight those women who were standing behind her, their face was tight, their body language. And again, I you from the streets, you watch everything, right? Why would you wear a Democratic blue when your party color is red? And this woman is announcing switching from being a Democrat to a Republican. Everything matters. Nothing is in a vacuum. Nothing is.
One of the things I can tell you. So I do live here in Charlotte, and in the district that is next door. I know her. I know her mom well. Her mother has been on our had been on our county commission for I don't know how many terms, about 12 years, and recently lost. And I think that had a lot to do with it. One of the things that we did when Beetlejuice did what she did, ran red, wine, and blue. We ran what we called a people's recall. Now we know that here in the state of North Carolina, so many of our power has been taken away, y'all. But in the state of North Carolina, there's no constitutional way to recall an elected official. But we said, we didn't give a crap. So we started a people's recall campaign last summer, and we had a strategy around that. We wanted to make sure every voter in North Carolina knew what she had done.
That's right.
And not only just those in her district that she had screwed over, but those across the state, because people were pissed off across the whole state.
Yeah.
We wanted this to be a slow burn because we wanted to keep this in the eyes and ears of everyone all the way up to this coming election. We got over 8,000 signatures on that petition. And because everywhere I go, we run a whole state organization. So everywhere I would go, women and people were just angry. And then the other thing, the message that we wanted to get out was the fact that she can't be trusted. And that we didn't care if you were and because we're nonpartisan, red, white, and blue, we're nonpartisan. So we do have some conservative women in our network. We have independent women in our network.
Yes.
And they're knowing these women, we wanted these women to understand you cannot trust someone who does that. You can't. Right. Now she screwed over her constituents because she had spent 12 years in the General Assembly fighting for the very things that she flipped on.
Right.
And I have said, I don't give a crap what's with the letter behind your name. You do not change your value. So you cannot tell me that was not orchestrated and planned. And because I know several of the women who are in her district who helped her all those other years. And when they came to try and help her to win again, she ghosted them because she knew what she was going to do. It was planned. And so
and that's why we have to be careful about knowing who is running, right?
That's right.
So they've ran that.
Everybody.
Right. They've ran that playbook, so they know that it's doable. And so I will say, for my race, I had a primary challenger, and it didn't feel right. Right. You talk about somebody that didn't vote until 2 election cycles ago or 1 election cycle before, really had no real platform, was an educator. I think that was by design, was a white male by design. And so it was important for me to make sure that people knew that, right? Like I said, I have continued to stay in the community. I've continued to work in the community. I tell people I'm an educator who moonlights as a politician. So I don't move like a regular politician, but it was something because they've told me, don't get comfortable in my seat. They have told me that they're coming for me. And because of where I situate, where my home situates in my district, not saying that they couldn't do it, but they literally would have to come into the middle of my district and draw a circle around me and come back out because I don't live on the fringe of my district. And that's not to say that they wouldn't. Because
they did it in New Hanover.
Yeah. Yeah. So
just that.
Yeah. So we have to be knowledgeable about that. And in the end, and I've said this before, Sister Pam, we have to be courageous enough to speak truth to power. And I know why they want to come after me. If you see the floor debate that I had with her when they first introduced the voucher bill, I had already done my homework. And, and I know as somebody who thinks that she's an attorney in her mind, you don't ever ask a question that you don't already know the answers to. So I already knew the answers to the questions that I was asking her. She did not. So they had to stop, bring somebody in from fiscal research to help her answer the questions that I was asking her. And they weren't, and it appeared to her as if it was an attack, but it wasn't. It wasn't partisan issues. It was flat. And so much so that when she got up to rebut what I was saying, she tried to come in from a political angle and was stopped by the speaker and said, "We're not going to do this." Because I did not take the stance, which I could have, right? I could have said all the Democratic talking points in my debate and then got shot down, right? Because she would come back. But you have to fight ignorance with facts. And so every time I stand up on that floor, I'm not pontificating. I'm not standing up there trying to, get fundraising dollars. The people of Forsyth County sent me there to fight. I might not be able to change a thing, but when I'm done, you're going to know you took a butt whoop.
I love it.
That's your lie.
Love it.
That's right. Right,
Yeah.
Dr. Baker. That's right.
So those of us who have been blessed with holding office, who have the honor of holding office, that is got to be the approach, that we have to show up every day prepared to fight, and you can't be afraid, right? So once you get that seat, you need to be as authentic as you can because the people voted you there, and if they don't like how you your stands on things. If they don't like how you vote, they have the right to vote you out. In our case, every 2 years, and that is their right. So I don't serve in fear.
I love it.
Because the same county needs to know that they always have the option to vote me out. That is their right, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So, no, I
love it, love it, love it, love it.
Janice,
I tell you, I love it.
I'm excited. I'm feeling, you know what? This is why you have to talk to your sisters so that you can get that energy again. Because I'm going to tell you, I was getting a little down thinking about this whole thing, just looking at the stats and stuff. And I was like, how can this be that Americans will go for? I mean, you just have thrown away all of your values, all of your everything. And then where are the Republicans that are the old school Republicans that we didn't agree with, but we could talk with, we can make policy with, because they were normal people.
They're afraid. They're afraid, Pam. Do you know that the number of people that, after I have spoken on the floor, the number of Republicans that have inched their way over to my desk or hem me up in the hallway and want to tell me how they believe like I do and they appreciate me, but they won't stand up and say anything. And I say, but why not? Because sometimes it only takes one person to be courageous enough to stand up to a bully.
It's just bullying the breakdown.
But they're afraid. They're afraid that they will get primaried, and they're afraid that they'll get sent home. And so one of the things I look forward to in this election is, we've already seen it. We've seen it where a couple of institutional Democrats and Republicans lost their primary seats. And so it's not just a Republican thing. It's those Democrats that want to, play over here to as close to the fire as you can. For what? Right? And people are tired of that. If you are a Democrat, you should stand for the things that the Democratic Party stands for. If you are a Republican, Lord, we don't know what they stand for, but whatever they stand for.
Well, see, these are maggots. These people we have now. I don't know.
But in the General Assembly, they were there before MAGA was there. So all he has done is allow them to be who they are in public.
That's right.
I can't say that about who I supported in the chamber.
Those policies, they were doing those policies and doing those things well before 40 for Orange Man. And then, but this stupid tail just telling the speakers out loud. And so they mad at him for telling the speakers out loud. But Dr. Baker, I so appreciate what you're saying, because I'm such a true believer in that. You got to speak the truth to power. You got to speak boldly. I don't like mamby-pamby, So, and the thing about it, when I think about, okay, what are they afraid to lose? Because we're not talking about these General Assembly people making a whole lot of money. It's $13,000. It is. It's
$13,466, ma'am.
Right. So it's power. Right. They want power. They want power and probably being noticed. But that always gets me. But the thing that makes me so mad is that people will not stand up for those who are closest to the pain. As our sister Ayala Presley said, I quote her almost every day. She talked about people who are closest to the pain need to be closest to the people with the power. And too many people and elected officials, even some of us who are claim to be activists, we're not fighting for people who are closest to the pain. And we got to fight for people closest to the pain.
Because oftentimes those people are no longer the closest people to the pain. Now, remember what I said. I'm not knocking anybody. You can live. I could live in one of the most affluent parts of our city and still be in my district. I tell people I represent the most disenfranchised group of people in our city, as well as some of our most affluent, and everything in between. So I could choose to move away from my hood, right? I could choose to do that, but I choose not to. And the reason I choose not to is for that very reason, that when you are closest to what is going on, then you always have your hand on the pulse of the issues that are affecting, first, for me as a principal, my families, right? Now, as an elected official, my constituents. And so I'm doing everything I can to advocate on all levels, whether it's local. I want y'all to understand that issue is a county commissioner issue. Get your tail down there and get to the meetings. That's a city council issue. Get over there. Don't call me after the vote and then be mad that I voted a certain way. Make sure you're educating yourself on the things that concern you, and you tell me how you feel before the vote. Right. Because I can't do anything after the bill has left our chamber. So it's a lot of work, yes. And because I'm fairly new to this political process, I didn't come in with a Rolodex of people to raise money from. And I bring this up every time. This is not a fundraising petition, but this is for people to understand this. Most people who are elected to the General Assembly have served on school boards or city councils or county commissioners or have been in this political process for a while. So when they decide to run for one of the highest offices in this state, they come with a fundraising Rolodex. If you happen to be a Black woman, you are not going to be able to raise the same kind of money as a white female, and most certainly not a white male, and in most instances, a Black male. Now, I have been very fortunate this time that people are finally taking notice and want to help, but I don't raise a lot of money. And so for me to do town halls or for me to, rip and run around the city and do all of that, that all comes out of the campaign money. And whatever campaign money I don't have, then that comes out of my pocket, which is a little pocket because it's $13,466. So people need to understand that too, that those of us who are serving, who are true servants, I don't have another job. When God called me to this, he called me away from being a principal to this. So I've taken a step of faith to serve, and I am honored to do it. I'm not whining, but people need to understand that we are not making a whole lot of money.
No, you all do not.
$13,600.
And you know what? I had one of my people from the Michigan State Legislature on with he's on the House side, and I had Senator Natalie Murdoch on a show. We had them on together, and they were comparing what they make, and in Michigan it's a real salary.
But they're also full-time legislators in Michigan. We are considered part-time, but go ahead.
Right. And so she was like, what? But the way I see my Senator Natalie Murdoch moving and all the stuff she's doing, I don't see how that's part-time.
It's not. It's a gatekeeping mechanism to keep certain people from being able to step out and run. And again, had I not been called to do it, there is no way that I could have done this with no other job. There's no way.
It's the same thing for your local offices too. City councils, county commissioners. It's not a lot of money, and it is. I totally agree, Dr. Baker. It is intended. It's set up that way to keep. I say to keep everyday people from representing themselves.
Well, and I stopped short of saying that, because if you a lot of those people on the other side, they talk about they were pastors. Oh, okay. Let me. So, farmers, just I don't know how they got there. So everyday people. Well, okay. Let me move on from that.
I need to explain
I went down in a rabbit hole. I'm sorry. Let me come back.
And I guess I need to be clear about who I'm speaking when I say everyday people. I'm talking about middle class people, people, poor people, middle class people, the working poor, and so forth. Everybody needs. I'm a big believer in diversity. There meant to be a diversity of voices at the table, not only racially, but economically as well too.
That's right. Absolutely, you're absolutely right. And I think on both sides we have an issue with that, right? Like,
absolutely.
On the Democratic side, we may be more diverse racially, but in terms of economically, not so much. And so it is. I mean, there's definitely some work to be done, with that. And again, for those that are listening, $5, right? $1 or $2. You might not think that that's much, but for somebody who's running for the first time and just trying to figure out how to buy handbills or bottled water or snacks, $5 will pay for the water for the people that are phone banking for them. So I'm not saying this for me. I'm saying this is part of the education that people cannot run without money.
Yeah.
I don't think that any amount is too small. And the max in North Carolina is $6,400. So if you got $6,400 laying around and you want to contribute that, feel free. But $1 or $2 to your local candidates will help and will be appreciated, because we can't run without the money and do the things that we do.
Dr. Baker, Alicia Baker Rogers said, I want to bring this to your attention. She said, you look like several relatives, and you do kind of look like some of the people on her side. Her family, she said, y'all need to converse offline.
Tell her to hit me up. Hit me up.
Mark says, have any bakers in the Warren County area in your family tree? Everybody's in your family tree.
I don't know, but hey, but y'all we all family some way or another. So hey, cousins.
This is true. It's 9:08, and that concludes another edition of the show. I am so thankful to have had both of you. I knew that you all would bring it, and really, I'm so impressed with that tool, Red Wine and Blue. I'm very, very impressed. So I need to help you spread that information on social media. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very good. And I love that idea that Alicia was asking about. She's also a Dr. Alicia Baker Rogers, but she's, because she lives in Texas, and I think that would be good for them to know that there's a way to connect with the Red Wine and Blue.
Absolutely. Yeah, yes, Trouble Nation.
Trouble Nation.
Yeah, Trouble Nation. Let's go to our website, redwine.blue. And just so we got a ton of information up on that website, but you also see where you can connect with Trouble Nation on there as well too. Another way that people can get to the platform pretty easily is just texting the word rally, RALLY, to 59868. That's 59868, and just text the word rally, RALLY, and that will take you to the platform. That's another way to get to it.
Mm-hmm. And can I also say this too, as we're wrapping up? People love
59868.
59868.
Mm-hmm.
59868.
Mm-hmm.
Did you, right? Those are cute. Go on and put them on and be cute with your glasses on. Just has her on. I have mine's on. 59868.
Okay, got it.
59868, and then just put in the chat, in the text, rally, and it'll automatically take you to the platform as well.
Yeah, I put okay.
Oh, good. Okay, yeah, there you go. Yes, thank you.
And Mark's got another question. Have you teamed up with the Black-owned wine companies like Shoe Crazy?
Who is this now? Shoe Crazy?
Yeah.
Where are they?
I don't know, Mark. What I was going to tell Mark, Red Wine and Blue actually is headquartered out of Ohio. Just so you know.
Well, it was started in Ohio, but we all work remotely. But it was started by some women in Ohio.
Right.
But it's so this I don't say Mark talking about this we like to hold events in really cool places, wine bars, breweries, coffee shops. So I need to check up this
they're in Virginia.
Oh, I'll tell our director Penny Blue them up there.
It's called
about it. And it's called what again? Oh,
Shoe Crazy.
Shoe Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
In Virginia. What state? What city?
What city, Mark?
I'll tell them about it, and they can reach out and see if they can see it and connect with the owner and see about hosting an event in their wine bar, in their winery.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Did you somebody I can did you oh you
Richmond.
said
Oh,
Richmond.
perfect. Yes. Got it. Thank you, Mark.
All right. All right. So, okay. All right. So I am so thankful for you all. And you know you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. And I just wanted to say this, that when you are authentic in who you are and what you bring to the table, people will rally around you regardless of your color. I think it's important to say that as well, because people want somebody they feel like they can trust. And I think you said that earlier, Janice. I think they want to feel like they know you. And I am thankful to have people of all races and ethnicity and political affiliations, say, I'm a Republican, but I vote for you because I believe in what you stand for. And I just want to encourage those who are holding office. If you're not being your authentic self, return to being your authentic self, because people will reward you for that.
Awesome. And Dr. Baker, you may know one of my organizers, Angela Levine, who is in Foresight. She texted me. So she texted me and said, "Hey, you're going to be on with my representative, Dr. Baker."
I sent her. One of the things Pam asked me to do was send it out, and I sent it to her.
Right.
She's associated with the organization. So
yeah. But Pam, I really appreciate you having me on, having Red, Wine, and Blue on. We are in North Carolina to stay with setting up an infrastructure. We operate 365 days a year. We're educating, amplifying, and mobilizing 365 days a year. And we're going to continue to do this until the cows come home.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate you having us on. And so I look forward to any other time we can get together again. I look forward to seeing you when I come to Durham.
Okay. Just give me a good heads up, because sometimes I'm worn out.
Oh, I hear you. Hey, you know what? We'll get together and go have a glass of wine.
Yes, that would be good.
We don't have a lot of wine in Winston, but we do have bourbon.
Oh, okay. Well, Angela tells me yes. yes. We'll definitely be in Winston-Salem too. We getting ready to be on the road a lot in this this summer. Like I said, we're on the road hosting events. Our goal is to have just as many, get this tool in the hands of as many people as possible, and especially in the hands of people who are not on the choir. Like I said, people who are not on the choir. Right. We got to expand the electorate. That's what's got to happen. And once you expand it, you got to get people to the polls.
Right.
And so that's what we're trying to do with this tool, is to help expand the electorate of people who are going to be voting to protect the democracy and protect our own rights, our reproductive rights, our public schools, who will help fight against these people who are trying to discriminate against the LGBTQ community, against the Black community, CRT, and all DEI and all this crazy stuff, banning books. We all just have to rise up and make sure that we help make sure we get people to the polls and educate people about this stuff.
Yep. All right. He was Mark's mentioned about the International Black Theater Festival.
That's right.
Coming up.
Yeah.
It starts the last couple of days in July, I think the 31st through August 5th. Yes.
I've been several. I need to do a table there. And Mark knows who I need to contact to try and do a table there.
Mark is in Virginia. Are you in Virginia, Mark?
Mark is in Durham.
Old Hillside was one of my sponsors for my kickoff. So, yep, Old Hillside.
Oh, Hillside.
It's a Black-owned bourbon company. Those brothers have been real supportive. You can call. I'll send it to you, Janice. This just slipped my mind in terms of who you need to reach out to.
Okay, sounds good. Oh, Mark said he's in Durham.
Martha, he's in Durham.
Got you.
Marcus is always at the Hayti. He works at the Hayti Heritage Center. So I owe him a visit. I got to get over there because he's gonna help me with something. But anyways,
Awesome.
guys, I've got to sign off tonight, and I appreciate you all again. Let's wave off to our people. Good
Thank
night,
you, everybody.
everyone. Good
Yeah.
night.